Looking for advice on love? Call Esmeralda.
Born under a full moon, my need to manifest the hidden truths is inherent. To dispel what veil is in place and uncover the secrets to the universe. The countless stars in the sky drew the map of time, the future right before our eyes, cascading down a timestamp in a frequency we can both tolerate and wield. Driven by the magic of love, I created a spell to take a closer look at one of our generation's most talked about love stories, and the witchcraft one's heart can drive you to do. Full moon magic, spirits and sprites, gifts of vision in my sight. Transform this room into a scene of old Hollywood glamour from stream to seam. Technicolor, film noir. From this bottle we'll see the stars. Lights, camera, action please. Reveal the witchcraft from behind the scenes. There's something to be said about timing. Was it the right time? To most, the answer is no. But that no created a friction that set ablaze a love affair that has been talked about for decades. You could say it started out with a bang. In 1949, Frank Sinatra was attending a party, and that's when he saw her again. Vivacious and passionate, he couldn't help but approach her. He made attempts before, but her elusive air is what attracted him. She'd been quoted saying, "I disliked him intensely. I found him conceited and arrogant." This time, however, there was a change. A moment shifted Ava Gardner and Frank Sinatra forever. The flirtation and drinks led to them leaving and driving around Indio, California, right outside Palm Springs. Their energy was high together, and when speeding around town wasn't enough, Frank pulled out a loaded .38 pistol and started shooting up the town. Exhilarated, Ava said, "Let me see that thing." The streetlights didn't have a chance. Nothing was going to shine brighter than their excitement. And soon after the town and a man was grazed, the two of them ended up in the slinger. Frank's press agent later came. The charges were dropped, damages paid, and the two were flown back home to Los Angeles. I'm not sure how much the bottle of whiskey was, but $30,000 on a first date is pretty impressive. To understand why Frank loved her, besides her obvious beauty, I guess it's best to describe her. In 1953, director Tay Garnett was hosting a dinner party. Some of his guests included Clark Gable and Lana Turner. Ava arrived at the door in a gorgeous gown. As she walked in, she said, "I don't give a shit what everyone else is wearing. I bought this gown today, and I have to spring it." She then noticed an upset Mrs. Garnett, ready to cry. She'd forgotten to make the gravy. Cool and collected, Ava set her at ease with command and said to her, "Stand aside, honey. I just happen to be the best country gravy maker on earth." The gravy was a hit, and not one stain was on her new dress. That was Ava in a nutshell. Headstrong and determined, dressed in a devil-may-care attitude, and Frank found it irresistible. Years before, Sinatra saw Ava's picture on a magazine cover. He exclaimed, "I'm gonna marry her someday." The hitch was, at this time, Frank was married with 3 children and had a decline in his career. "I got you under my skin" appropriately describes his frustration over Ava. Ava was restless and wanted to do anything but sit still. She was moody, changeable, and volatile. And even though at the time she wasn't seriously interested in Frank, they had a lot in common. They loved to drink and smoke all night while having passionate conversations. Despite attempts to keep their affair secret, Ava and Frank came to the premiere of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and 4 days later, Ava was his date at the Copacabana for his birthday party. With desperation to not lose Ava, he made it clear he was serious about her, which resulted in him introducing her to his parents and asking Nancy for a divorce. This led into a whirlwind, which left them both intoxicated with each other. So much that Ava went on a 2-week singing engagement with Frank at the Shamrock Hotel in Houston. When Ava returned home, she was greeted by an unhappy Louis B. Mayer, who showed the actress the publicity about her, calling her a Jezebel and a homewrecker. Ava was not punished. Sinatra, however, lost his contract with MGM eventually. Not to say it was directly about Ava, but it didn't help when Mayer made the decision. Frank, however, seemed pretty unfazed about it, as he was going to make his first opening in 5 years at the Copacabana. When Ava attended opening night, he sang Nancy with the Laughing Face. Ava was furious and said, "Did you have to sing that song? I felt like a damn fool." Frank calmly replied, "It brings me luck." "Either it goes or I go," she replied. Nancy, with the Laughing Face, was taken out. Frank and Ava were married November 7th, 1951. She wore a non-traditional wedding dress made by Fontana, an Italian design house who had designed costumes for Ava in a few of her movies, including The Barefoot Contessa. The dress was mauve-toned marquesette with a beautiful strapless top of pink taffeta. The wedding was intimate, with only a couple of people in attendance, outside of Ava's sister Bappy and Frank's parents, Dolly and Marty. Her going-away outfit was a brown Christian Dior suit and a sapphire blue stole that was Ava's wedding gift from Frank. "I'll do everything to make him happy," Ava promised. "Then I'll get him back his self-confidence." Frank's mother, Dolly, adored Ava. Their birthdays were only one day apart, and Dolly was impressed that a woman with Ava's figure had such a healthy appetite. Dolly taught Ava to make a couple of her traditional Italian dishes and basked at how happy her son was with her. Articles on the couple continued to never be dull. One week the couple was in love, entitled "New Name for Happiness," and a few weeks later, reporters wrote that Ava and Frank were the battling Sinatras. Despite the articles being true, in this case, the couple thrived off their tumultuous relationship. The marriage at times literally was like a Hollywood movie. During a trip to New York, Artie Shaw, who was Ava's second husband, invited them to a party. Frank despised Shaw and declined. And after an argument, Ava went alone. This later resulted in Frank calling Ava at the party. Sinatra told her, "I just wanted to say goodbye," and then fired off 2 pistol shots. A hysterical Ava immediately left. Meanwhile, Frank and his people changed out the mattress to another room. Ava arrived crying, opening the bedroom door, only to see a very much alive Frank sitting up in bed reading. An upset Ava, she told him she talked to the police. Frank just laughed at her. "What are you, crazy or something? I was calling to say goodnight." They had a lot of tender moments, though, even when Ava was fed up with Sinatra. During the filming of Mogambo, Frank came and spent the holidays with Gardner in Africa. He decorated a tree with lights and built Ava a makeshift shower using a hose that pumped from the river. Frank was heavily in debt, and Ava was in her prime. It could have been the unbearable heat, but Ava was exhausted. One night at a dinner party for the British governor of Uganda, director John Ford, who was the host, asked Ava, "Why don't you tell the governor what you see in that 120-pound runt you're married to?" "Well," she said casually, "there's 10 pounds of Frank, and there's 100 pounds of his cock." The governor of Uganda and his wife laughed. Ford, however, was put in his place. Maturity changed Frank's appearance as he got older. It gave his voice magic and a haunting aura, reaching out for love. In his words, Ava was the reason for this. In 1954, Ava established residency in Nevada and filed for divorce. It wouldn't go through for years, though. I believe, despite all the heartache, Frank knew this was it, and that Ava was the love of his life. Both during and after his marriage, Sinatra was always there for her. Love has many images, and like they say, no grit, no pearl. And Ava was Frank's pearl.